So, good day, everyone. It's such a pleasure and what a wonderful opportunity that you've decided to join us on your weekend or in through the evening, according to what your time zone is. My name is Naomi Harm, and I'm a presenter on behalf of CUE, the California organization, and also in partnership with Microsoft Education. We are here today to share with you 10 creative ways to spice up your staff meetings and make them much more productive and much more filled with lots of energy and happiness to kick off your school year. Now, I do realize that some of you are already in session and some of you are representing different time frames throughout the year. So we're hoping that any time that when you do have your staff meetings, that these will be some tips and tricks and strategies to not only use with your staff, it could also be used that you could put a really creative spin on to use with your students. So, what's most important is that learning moments are really, really important for your staff, especially now through this pandemic that we're in, and how to build a lot of your professional development, almost like that self esteem, is what we are talking about. A lot of our teachers are feeling very drained right now. Very overwhelmed due to the pandemic, but also the pressure of how to teach online or provide a blended learning opportunity online. And this might be one of their first times that they're teaching this way. But we want to make sure that we have some really effective and efficient strategies for you to energize the way that you offer your meetings. I have a little humor added throughout. I call it, it's Bitmoji style that I've added throughout to make it kind of fun and humorous. But then I also have some direct links to share with you of some opportunities that you can share with your staff to build a stronger and more collaborative culture amongst your staff. Okay, number one, let's make it relevant and let's make it purposeful. So what I'd like to say here is always state the learning connections of the why you have gathered. Teachers really want to know what the direction and the purpose is for when you are having a meeting. And just to have a meeting for a meeting's sake is not sometimes always the best. We need to make sure it's purposeful for our staff. We also need to make sure that we reach out to our staff to assist that they can be collaborative leaders when we're planning staff meetings. That means to help them with co-designing, co-facilitating, and also it doesn't mean they have to do the whole agenda, but maybe one or two portions of the agenda. So what I'm going to do at this time, I'm going to pause there. I'd like to know, are there any strategies right now, administrative friends that have joined me and teacher friends, that you have actually had your students participate as actual learners, like your teachers, and have they had an opportunity to design with you? So Ananima, thank you so much for joining today. So I'd like to know, have you used any strategies that you can collaborate when you do agenda teams with your meetings at all? I have your mic on, so if any of you would like to share any strategies, Yashi or Nita or Anima?
May I share something?
Yes,
This
yes.
is Neeta. So, uh, what I, the way we've designed our staff meetings is that we have a meeting every uh, every Tuesday,
Okay,
and we've kind of developed an agenda for each meeting. The
okay,
one is the first meeting of the month is usually to look at the month the events that are going to come up in the month, any important agenda points related to that, anything that anyone else wants to bring up.
okay,
So basically, that's for information dissemination and
okay,
just planning. The second one is usually a tech PD, where we maybe explore a tech tool together.
wonderful.
And the third one is maybe we take an article or a TED talk or something like that, watch it together and discuss that. And the fourth one is a fun PD. Like somebody or the other, maybe from the staff or from outside, will get facilitates the meeting and teaches us something that is just not related to teaching at all.
Okay. I love that approach because you've broken it down into like almost a four quad professional development strand, because it's purposeful that you as an administrator, from what I've heard you say, the most important things that they need to know. Then you also empower teachers to learn a new technology literacy skill. Yet then you're bringing in an outside consultant or to teach them something that can be very personalized, that's not related at all to school, but how it impacts their world. So that four-prong approach is really important. That sounds like a really great way. And also seeing that you're bringing in relevance and rigor with the articles and or the videos. That's really important as well. So thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. So Ananima, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. In our school, we are just one month, 1.5 month old as far as team is concerned.
Okay.
So not that much, but yes, PLC teams are there immediately in the group, and then next group, and then against, like, hierarchy is arranged, and depending on the requirement, the meetings are held. And more than that, I'm not this TED talk and all, so far we haven't. Yes, whenever professional PD courses are there, that time, yes, we get together entire staff. That is, we have a staff of about 250. So as I said, we have a hierarchy. So when a smaller group is called, say 10, then we have another group with them 50, like depending on the number required. So that is the
Okay.
arrangement so far. And we yes, we exchange our learning from each other. Like today itself, we had about 75 gathering of 75, and whatever we learned, that will be, the video will be circulated, and next meeting we'll have that agenda. So weekly we have agenda, team as the agenda. So that's how we have figured out so far. Not much
Okay.
progress.
I too love to hear your strategy. That is absolutely amazing because you've got some key connections that are like need to knows that you have to instruct in that hierarchy approach, but also at the same time you're continually building off the previous meeting, continuing to the next meeting, and then empowering those learners with more. I absolutely love that. And welcome, Trisha. You've just joined us now. I'm going to add in our back channel chat. We've got some teacher friends on from California and India. And Ananamana, are you from India as well, or are you from another country? Because
Yeah.
I didn't get to.
Yes, I too am from Delhi, New Delhi, India. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. I'm glad that you're here with us. And
Thanks.
Trisha, where are you from today, Trisha? You could add it in the back channel chat, or you can also turn on your microphone if you'd like. And so she'll be joining us in just a minute. I know there are some delays today, so that's okay. But I just always want to make sure that I welcome each and every one of you and that we'll continue on with our presenting today. And I'm going to do some more pause moments because it's really important that you as administrators and educational leaders have a voice in your learning today. And we need to also learn from you at that same time. So thank you so much for being patient with all of that. Let me go to more of a full screen so that you can have a little bit more screen real estate to see where we're at today. Now, what's really important, I have 10 strategies for you today over the course of our hour. And some of you have already mentioned how you are developing and setting up your team meetings that are for staff development. But what's really important is that we need to ensure that we make it extremely relevant and make it extremely purposeful. So your educators that are coming together as a group, that they feel valued as an individual, but also that it will extend and enrich their learning. The more that we can model the message instead of just always talking, but we have that visual literacy component, whether it's a video, whether it is a photograph or an image, or whether it is that hands-on tactile learning moment that we can still safely socially distance, we need to make sure that that learning connects the learning dots for your staff because we need to offer more sensory modalities instead of always just voice, but to see, to watch, to discuss, and have those creative conversations with materials at hand. We also need to have a good sounding board. And what I mean by a sounding board, we need more opportunities to pause and reflect on our thinking. So many times as us as administrators, we're presenting to a large group. We think that our educators are understanding and we're not allowing more times to pause and to process and to think with another teammate. So that's where what's been very successful for me, whether I'm working with administrators or teachers or even students. I set up different types of instructional approaches. And those instructional approaches include like a parking lot, and I'll share with you what I mean by that in a minute. Some simple quick writes, even if it's on a piece of paper or a post-it, or it's an online spot that we can actually do a quick write to keep our notes. Those learning moments to pause, reflect, and team with one or two other educators. Also posing what ifs, or what if we did this, or I wonder, but more questions that can lead to pondering moments to think differently to solve a problem. Also, it's important to have those just-in-time resources there, making sure that it's very relevant, that not only we're talking, they have the guide to assist them with the literature piece or that article of research. I too also introduce many different forms of, I call them your intro or do now tickets, getting teachers excited of why they're there for that learning, making sure that they have exit tickets to add closure to our meeting so it's purposefully planned. I'm getting critical feedback and making sure that we can connect the learning to our next meeting. So here's an example of a parking lot. You can use many different venues of a parking lot, kind of like a digital post-it board. This is called Padlet, and many of you have probably used Padlet before, but I use a parking lot such as Padlet so that when we introduce information, I do those pause, reflect, and ponder moments, and then that they can ask more questions, share more resources, and give more information that they feel that's part of that. So in the backdrop, I kind of have like a digital electric car is what I have just to keep the teachers engaged. Some other things that I've used Padlet. So here's another one. I put a really kind of intriguing backdrop. I personally, so if you've learned from my sessions before, I do love chocolate and I love dark chocolate. And I always say chocolate should be better, our learning moment should be better than chocolate. So why not, let's figure out how our staff learn best. So I want to know how, where, and why do you learn best? Because even our educators, even if we just have them come to a staff meeting and just only hear us auditorily, some of them, that's not the best way to learn. They need to have sensory modalities of learning. They may need to have that handout. They may need to have an online reflection tool. They need to have pens and paper to write the reflections and different ways to learn. And anytime that we can break up the meeting into smaller, snackable, bite-sized chunks of information, we're finding greater success. So if you have a 30-minute staff meeting, making sure that there's at least 3 different types of learning, that I kick it off with an intro ticket or a do now activity. I introduce that new relevant information. I pause to have them reflect. I have them partner with a teammate as a think, pair, share. We come back as large group. I introduce a little bit more information, and then I have my teammates strategize or ideate and come up with new reflections or new ideas of purposeful learning of how they can put it right into their classroom. So breaking it up instead of just one long hour meeting or 30 minutes makes it more purposely planned for your teachers. Now, we also need to accommodate to the learning styles that lends to where I was just talking about. We know that our teachers all learn different, just like our students. So different ways to break it up. Small group brainstorming, I call that dynamic duos or transformative trios. Instantly, your teachers know that they'll be in groups of 2 or in groups of 3. I also create amazing quads, meaning sometimes I break our teachers into groups of 4 and that we do a breakout activity to take a problem that we're trying to solve and use the design thinking process to do a backwards design to solve for that problem. I also use a lot of activities that when I have my teachers into groups and we can still safely socially distance, but they're called voting dots. Dots where they can rank themselves where they're on that learning curve of understanding the new content. And then after they've gone through a series of different types of learning segments, they can also rate their comprehension or their influency of understanding of what do I understand now that I've got new learning connections. So I do voting dots. You can do this digitally, or you can buy little dots on a large scale piece of paper and having teachers put their dots. It's a great conversation piece and helps connect with how we learn best and why we learn best. Some other things that I do too, I already heard Emma and Anna that you had mentioned on the TED Talk videos. I also inspire teachers sometimes to kick off my staff meetings with an inspirational learning moment that can be truly related to what we're teaching or getting that big picture thinking across. Or it could be an inspirational moment to build self-confidence, camaraderie with my staff, how to better communicate and to collaborate with them. Or it could be that I have them listen to a 2 or 3 minute podcast on a new concept. Or I can bring in a virtual guest presenter to be inspired. And I usually keep that as 15 minutes or less, that person comes in and then we work in our small groups from there. I like to add lots of visuals to actually help our teachers bring about their long-term memory from their back quadrant of their big, beautiful brains, connect the dots in that right frontal lobe so they can process and formulate new ideas and really kind of springboard new ideas to share with others. I also like to set the tone of learning. I like to have lots of calming, but then also upbeat music when my teachers come together right away that's appropriate. Sometimes when we're brainstorming or doing some critical writing, I have some very calm moments. And then I have some upbeat music that when they're leaving our day of learning, that they're energized and to go back with more enthusiasm. I do lots of collaborative like Google Docs to Microsoft Documents to you name it. I also ensure that our teachers are ready to learn, and I make sure that we bring healthy treats and snacks and plenty of, I call it H2O, plenty of water, because our big, beautiful brains are made out of 80% water, and we need to make sure that we stay hydrated so that we stay spirited, we stay creative, we stay energized, and that we have more time to give back to our colleagues that we work with. Now, some other things that you may want to think of, and this is really going to be imperative now because of the pandemic. What this means is we have to strategically lay out our room safely to make sure that our staff stays safe, but we can still collaborate. Here's a picture that's set up into amazing quad. So there's 4 at a table. Now, in case that's still too close, based on your parameters of what you're working in, you can move 2 of those chairs out and still have 2 individuals at a table, like on the end of each table, and then to space them out. So we still have to be very creative of what we do. Other means, like even when we get into classrooms, you could still have dynamic duos, transformative trios, but spacing those tables out and where the chairs are set up. So even looking at the dynamics of safely setting that up for your staff. Some other means, this is kind of more of a traditional classroom that we have segments of pods sitting together, and then we have different digital media areas. So again, this is kind of a stage photo, but thinking now, what can I do to make this more socially and safely distancing, but our teachers can still be in modified groups. Some other things that you may want to think of. A lot of teachers love sweet treats, and it depends what you do in your country of what you can do. I tried to make little creative props, and I've done that before, that I use a sweet treat. So in the United States, we have these sweet treats that are called Rolos, that are chocolate-filled caramels, and then on the end, it's a chocolate kiss, which is just a little solid dark chocolate. And you can roll them up to actually look like a pencil, and they're kind of a creative gift to give to teachers of that finished product. I also will create little memes or postcards and put a package together. So in the United States, what we do as well, we like a sweet treat that's called a s'more. And a s'more adds a layer of goodness. It's a scaffolding dessert where we can put a graham cracker with a piece of chocolate and then a marshmallow that's a soft, spongy marshmallow as a softened treat. And you can melt it and it becomes really gooey and it becomes really good. So I package up different things like that for our teachers, even as a gift as they leave for a small summer break before they come back again to re-energize them. Some other creative prompts, I want to celebrate educators in all that they do. So some things that even what we do at the elementary areas, we want to make sure that teachers have great ways to celebrate their learning. So it's called Feed My Brain. Those are different prompts that we use that teachers share ideas of the what ifs. Then we have making communications where teachers can connect with others. And then we have bright ideas, other bright ideas that they've learned after taking a break, coming back together to share their ideas with others as an inspirational board. We also use Instagram, using Instagram online of photos, but then also making it more formalized in our school districts and sharing just in time photos to celebrate the learning that's taking place. So we have different ways to visualize that. I also want to introduce, like number 5, is different types of collaborative games to build a stronger community of learners. And that link will take you to different team building activities that you can still do as you safely socially distance, because we want to make sure that teachers feel safe to share with one another's, take risks in their learnings, and share opportunities of what's worked during this distance learning and during the pandemic and what hasn't worked and how we can move forward to help each other. Some other areas that this comes from that same site, these are different collaborative games. There's different types of puzzles, there's different types of building blocks, there's scavenger hunts, there's even taking your staff outside to do geocaching adventures that they can still safely socially distance, and it's focused around a content or a concept area of your professional development. Number 6, this is one that always gets a lot of our educators excited, and especially when administrators can ground the learning in a personalized learning story or a metaphor. Personalized stories really hook your learners because it's sharing an experience about the big concept of that story that you're trying to get across, but it shares the insight of that humanistic value. And because of this pandemic, we are all using all of this digital technology, and kind of some of the humanistic approach has been, it's dissipated or it's gone away. We've got to find a way to tell that story, to bring that human factor back into this and to relate so that our teachers feel valued as well. Different ways to tell stories or metaphors. I have a link here about really boosting your school's culture and compassionate based side of learning. So stories with intention and outcomes, and also stories that brings about new ideas, and then also what it looks like for a powerful story to happen and how you can tell a story just like within a TED Talk. So I just wanted to make sure that you have it right here. The other thing I mentioned as well, some of you had said that you do set the stage for learning. So playing music can be a great way to set the tone. If it's an upbeat, teachers come in, they feel that liveliness and they feel that. And all of us from all of our cultures have different types of music that we play. So because of that, I grew up in a household, I grew up in the middle of the United States, in a state that was called actually Iowa. And one of our things that we did with my own family is before that we would go to church on each Sunday, is my dad was really big into polka music, it was called, and also swing and big band music. So after we were done milking the cows and doing all the chores, we'd have this music that we'd play to get us ready for church. After we were done with church, we'd always make a big, beautiful family brunch. And I still do that to this day. I grew up in the 80s, so I'll say I'm an 80s girl. So I like some of that music as well, too. Okay, let me bring this back here. So let me pull it back. How many of you are using music or some type of visual to get your teachers excited about learning when it comes to your staff meetings? So I'm going to bring back up our back channel chat here. So I'm going to bring this over. Those of you that have joined us. So Susan, thank you so much for joining us again. How much of you are currently using music or visuals or videos to get your teachers excited about learning? And I'm back on our chat side and I can see each of you. So you are more than welcome to please turn your mic on. Share your cultural stories at this time, because we have teachers on from India, we have teachers on from California and different parts of our world. So I'd love to learn from you. What do you do to get teachers excited?
Hi, Naomi, it's Susan.
Hi, Susan.
We actually try to do when they come in, for teachers that are coming in, we give them tickets, raffle tickets. At the end, we raffle off prizes. So, but I love the music idea.
Yeah.
It really does set the tone. It creates kind of anticipation. So I am gonna start using music.
Yes.
And of course, I love the 80s too. It's timeless.
It's timeless, and it kind of sets the stage because it's upbeat and it's positive. Now, there's lots of different playlists. It depends what type of music venue you use. Spotify has got a lot of playlists for administrators and educators that are out there. You can even just do a search using Microsoft Bing or using your Google tools, whatever you prefer. But you can find playlists that are already out there that are very educationally appropriate, upbeat, and to set the tone for learning as well. Thanks, Susan, for sharing that. Is there anyone else that would like to share? Yes, Spotify. And Anima, yes, thank you for sharing. I'm glad that you said that. Share more with us.
As far as serious meetings are there, there is no music ready for the lecture. There's more of instructions. Yes, but there are moments or there are meetings which are light, celebration type. There, of course, music is welcome. And not just the live music, the teachers are also, some of them are good singers. So they really present good.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Yeah. And Bollywood music really sets the tone for the meeting. So it's always
That is
Bollywood.
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, Bollywood music is very hit and is popular, and almost everybody knows all the songs, so they all can join. It's not that one person singing, but everybody joins and singing. So there are, as timeless music is always there, even at all
Yes.
time in all ages.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I love that. I know when I was presenting, I've been to South Africa like 3 times, and in the last 10 years. And the celebration, even for our sessions that we were at, it was opening celebration that they would share their cultural song and it would be played, and everybody knew the words to it and everybody would dance to it. And it was such a just an awestruck moment for me as an American to come over and to celebrate their culture. But at the end of our conference, they would play the same song and have the same dance. And by the end, I could dance with them. It was so beautiful. So, yes, each of us, because we're all from different parts of the world, it's music and that cultural dance that brings us together to celebrate and appreciate the different heritage and the culture and our style and our diversity, to celebrate the diversity. That's what I absolutely love. We need more of that. That's how we can appreciate the differences of others. And I think we need to really have more of that back in our schools because we need to fill our world with more compassion and kindness and respect of cultures. So thanks for sharing, everyone. I'm going to come back to the other side now, and I'm going to be sharing with you where we left off. So let me go back here. We'll bring back up where we left off. Many of you, you've heard my story before, but my ancestry comes from the old world, that my grandmother was actually born in Czechoslovakia, which was known as Czech Republic way back in the day. She was born there, she was raised there, and she came over here and landed, of course, went through New York, through Ellis Island, and then moved, and they had actually basically populated their family in northeast Iowa. And so my father was born there in northeast Iowa. And it's been very interesting following the path of our heritage of being a strong Czechoslovakian descent and our heritage that we bring. And so I bring that heritage into my staff meetings and when I work with my administrators around the world, because I love to cook. And my cook is coming from my heritage because I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, and she actually partially raised me due to our family because of a situation that happened younger on with my mom in our family. So because of that, my grandmother was such just as an influence in my life. So I do all kinds of great pastries and big family meals. And I think that's what brings us together too, our heritage of our food and that culture to celebrate. So when there will be a time again that we can celebrate with food again when it's safe, I think that would be a great way to celebrate family as our teaching family too. Now, some other things to share. Also, sometimes the time dynamics that we have set up, we have to have so many minutes for professional development for our staff, and I understand that. Yet if those are check-ins that we need to do before school meetings or after school meetings, I would say to please, I always say use the KISS principle, keep it short and sweet, or keep it short and simple, however you want to apply that. But anytime that we can give back to our teachers, that if we finished early, I think we need to give back, because if they can learn a takeaway from us that they can implement into their classroom to impact students, that's what it's all about right now. We are all working very, very, very long hours. And if we can give back to our teachers knowing that they have felt comfortable with that staff meeting and now they have a new idea to inspire their students, let them practice it with a colleague. Let them go back and develop a new lesson or activity around that. They will greatly appreciate that. Number 9, I've learned from working with some of you in the past, you do staff appreciation. I love that. We need to build our staff up more than ever. When meetings that I've had with school districts and or working with teachers, we try to find a way to not only appreciate and celebrate staff, we do it as a dynamic duo or a trio, because a lot of our teachers right now are not doing things singly, meaning all by themselves. They're truly working together as a collaborative team. So we want to build that team up. So anytime that you can build them up with rewards. Rewards could even mean that I've worked with an administrator in Onalaska, Wisconsin, and what they did is they made sure that their next staff meeting, that if it was a venue that was appropriate, and they let the teachers go to, it was called the local coffee shop and pastry shop, and he brought them there, that they kind of had this area and space for a given grade level band team. He brought them in and their focus was on something for professional development. He bought them all their coffee, their tea, or their specialty water, and that he paid for the bill, and the teachers continued on to develop their learning around that main question that he left them with. The teachers felt so empowered knowing that they could have an offsite venue to actually have part of their staff development meeting, and they really liked that. So that was pretty cost effective of what you can do. These are like many, many different ways that you can provide recognitions and rewards for your staff. And basically, we do need time to celebrate and brag with our team members, but we can do it as a duo or a trio. Also allow your staff or your employees to have a time for choice. A choice meaning, how are we going to celebrate each other this time? And bring your staff in, that they're collaborators of that professional development, that they can plan how to celebrate. Like I mentioned, that administrator, he did let your employees pay it forward. So he paid it forward to celebrate them as an offsite area, but also have your employees, what can they do to celebrate one another? And we need to make it more than work. We need to make it fun. We need to make it humorous, and we need to bring back that comfort of appreciation and self-care for our staff. But we also need to celebrate the success and publish it, whether you can publish it in your local community, if you have newspapers yet, if it's the website of your school, or if it's a newsletter that's sent home. So parents and community members know the good things and the worth that your staff are doing. I've added a link there. It's called Pineapple PD. It's learning with your peers online in a different venue that you can tap into. I've actually made, when I was in my school district, thank you calls home to staff that I worked with, and thank you calls home to parents. And we need to celebrate one another and be thankful that everybody has to contribute to our learning. And as I mentioned before, offsite learning, it could even be outside in your schoolyard. Excuse me. Number 10, but please open and end your staff meetings with positive celebrations of learning. I always try to get our staff upbeat and positive, especially during this pandemic. It's been very difficult. So making sure that you open with a celebration of learning, of something of a success from your teammates of teachers, or something that your whole school-wide approach has done well. But also end with celebrations of learning, whether it's music, whether it's a thank you ticket to your staff, whether it's an appreciation, if it's truly a tangible item of a sweet treat or something that's going to help improve them in their classroom practice, but more that we can celebrate. And also, I always say, have a gift of humor. And this one is always funny because I always talk about my thinking brain. A thinking brain, if I'm thinking it, but I won't say it out loud. But it says, you might be a teacher if you are thankful that your thought bubble is invisible at staff meetings. And sometimes that's very true. But just think if we could turn that idea around, that we say, teachers today, I want to know what's in your thinking voice, and thinking voice to provide a moment of gratitude. Gratitude that you can be thankful, and give them a thought bubble that's a tangible piece of paper, and write a moment of gratitude of a special thank you of what they're walking away that's going to help them improve their teaching and learning practice, whether it's with a colleague, whether it's a student, whether it's administrator, or maybe it's a just-in-time learning moment that's going to improve their learning in their classroom. So that's what we need to do. So put a spin on it and make it lots of fun. So teacher friends, I want to make sure that I have a gift of gratitude to thank you for joining us today, and I'll come back in that we can talk on the microphones. But if any given time, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to learn with you and generate many ideas that can help your staff development meetings. I'm on Twitter, I have a website, but I also have another gift back to you today. And this is my Innovative Blended e-learning ideas book. And I've been writing this book since the time the pandemic has started, since the end of February, and more ideas of best practices of how to inspire staff meetings, but how to support teachers with just-in-time blended learning and online learning opportunities of learning. So I want to make sure that you have that there today. So I'm going to bring this back, that I'm going to pause this presentation at this time, and then I'm going to come back to our moments of learning that I can connect with each and every one of you, and so that we can share. So I'll stop presenting there. But any other questions, any other ideas that you've now connected with, ideas that you can learn from one another, or more ideas that you just thought of, like, wow, I can take this idea and I can now generate it over here. I'd love to learn with you. So I'm going to pause for that reflection moment of anything else you'd like to share.
This was really great. I think so many of these ideas are doable, they're actionable, and can make a huge difference. So thank you.
You're welcome very much. And I, as being from an administrative leadership position in a school district, and now even owning my own women in leadership company, I know too that we need to have more times that we do have actionable items, because sometimes things are talked about in staff meetings, and it's like, how do I even implement that? We need to do actionable items to help our staff feel that they are part of a larger community, that it's worth the effort, that they can contribute to a greater world of good, and that they know they're going to make change with their students by the support of us as administrators. So I'm glad that it was purposeful you today. Absolutely. Is there anyone else like to share? And I'll pause.
This is Susan. I think for me, this is so helpful. You know, these ideas. We really do want to model engagement for our teachers. You know, that, and do little things that they in turn can use for their students. What we've done in the past that been very helpful is to allow choices. So we do mini PDs, so they can pick. So they have mini sessions, and we'll run 2 or 3 at the same time with different presenters, and they get 2 PDs, you know, like a 40-minute session during our PD days or staff meeting days. So that's been very helpful.
Susan, that's it's so important that you mention that. Choice is important for our children. Choice is important for us as adult learners, because some of us, if we only have a one size that fits all PD, then it seems like we're missing the learner's actual needs. I'm so glad to hear the choice. And that's where your teachers can come in too, to help build that collaborative schedule as choice. So thank you for sharing. So Ananima, could you share as well?
Yeah. Very nice presentation. I must compliment your voice and everything. Modulation was really very touching.
Okay.
The hard day's work, like it was worth attending. So it's nice, and it really sets the mood in the sense that it is very important. I think that the presenter and the meeting, the one who's got the grip of that, takes control of the meeting and takes everybody in their stride. It's really beautiful. The way you presented, I really liked it.
Okay.
Very soft. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, educator friends, for joining today. And I loved it because what we saw here, we had a beautiful women in leadership team. I don't know if you've noticed that, but all of us were women leaders coming in today. So we need to celebrate women. We need to lift each other up because we have so many creative ideas, but we're such a compassionate community of learners. And us as women have that sensitivity side. And I love that we can bring that out because we've got the ideas, we have the organization, and we have that love moving forward that we can really lift each other up. Oh, Yashi, that's right, Yashi. I didn't want to leave you out. We did have our male teacher, our educator friend. Yashi, I'm sorry, friend. You are just as compassionate, as kind as us too. But yes, I love that we have our male leader. Oh, Yashi, I'm sorry. I thought you had left the room by now, but you're still here. Okay.
It's very important. Yeah, compassionate word is very important. Right? True.
Yes, it is. It is. And all of us have had so many long days. Even yesterday for me, as many of you are, my day started at 5:30 in the morning. It was 8:30, and it was almost 9 o'clock by the time I said, I need to put the tech down. I need to take a break and get back to my family. So
Yes.
yes,
Very right.
yes, yes.
What you said in the beginning, you know, that beginning and the end should be very nice slide you had, that about
Yes.
beginning and the end of the meeting is. I've taken the snap.
Okay. Okay, that sounds wonderful. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much. And Yashi, I give you back my dear male friend because your creativity, you have Yashi, I want to give a celebration, a shout out. He is from California and he is doing so many things inspiring educators around the world. And he has come to so many of my sessions and I've learned so much from him. So I want to celebrate you as well, Yashi, today. So thank you. And Susan, that's been with us, is also coming from California. She's attended so many sessions. So we've learned so much. Look at these beautiful women and men that are part of this today.
This is my third session this week with Naomi. I've been trying to sneak off with some sessions during my work day with her. So
No, I missed yours. I've been always been trying to and somehow couldn't make up.
Yes.
Today I caught up.
That's excellent. And remember that all of the sessions are recorded, and
Yes.
within about 48 to 72 hours, if you go back to q.org/Microsoft, you'll be able to go to that same page where you accessed the presentation today to get all of the recording ones. So everything is there for you.
But live sessions are different. You know, it's like a live match is different. You even if you see the recording, you know that.
Yes, it is because you can be part of the learning community together with us today. That's why it's important.
Yes,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks everyone. Have a marvelous day. Those of you in the evening, have a good night's rest. Those of you starting out your day, hope you have a day that's just filled with so much energy that you can connect the learning dots from today and use an idea to make a Monday morning impact with your staff. Okay.
And quick note,
Yes.
Naomi, I was able to download your presentation today.
Now,
the previous two times I wasn't able to, but today I was.
See, I don't know what's going on. Somebody told me that they were doing some updates within Microsoft Teams. So it maybe they throttled us down, that it wasn't sharing or downloading. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Just so you know that.
Okay.
I'm able to do it today. So I think
yours.
But I think somebody said,
oh, Ananima cannot
access.
Yeah, I couldn't get.
Okay, so I added the link, but I'm going to add again. What I can do is I can upload from the computer. I can upload the PDF. So I'm going to try again to send this to you. So I'm going to upload a copy. Yeah, now it looks like it doesn't want to come through again, but I'll try. Otherwise, here is my email. that if you
Yes,
would like,
got it.
here's
Now I
my,
got it.
is it working?
Oh, she
Okay.
got it.
Okay, because otherwise there's my email that if you want a copy of the slide deck, I can always email it. I have no problem sharing. I always say together we are better, and we need to be sharing out these wonderful resources to help each other to be stronger and to support each other, especially during this pandemic. There's no way we can know it all, but if we get 1, 2, or 3 great ideas, we can really run with it. Okay.
I'll mail you.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. And I see we just had one other teacher friend come on, Jan. Hi, Jan. I'm glad that you're with us. Yes, and Nita, you can email me too for the slide deck. Jan, where are you joining us from today? If you would like to share, if you'd feel comfortable doing that. We have a back channel chat and we just finished our session, but I do have the slide deck there for you that if you'd like to access that, and if you can't access it, I can email you the link that if you'd like. But we shared 10 best educational strategies of how to really help your team meetings be more productive. Oh, Benicia, California. That's wonderful. I actually lived in Fairfield, so we were not very far from each other, actually. Okay, wonderful. Okay, that's great. Well, once again, in any time that you need to contact me, or if you want the entirety of the slide deck, I am going to put in here my email address. So my email address is there. You're more than welcome to contact me, and I have no problem sending you the entirety of the slide deck and or that link that you can have so that you've got some just-in-time best practices as well. Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining today. Enjoy the rest of your day or into the evening. We had many guests coming on today from India. So it was such a pleasure seeing everybody and our teacher guests from California as well. Thanks everyone. Take care of yourself. Find a moment to give back to yourself and your family today because we have to really invest in the self-care for ourselves to stay strong. Namaste as well, Nita. Thank you so much, dear friend. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.